Oeste International Partners is a volunteer organisation registered in Portugal. We have two main objectives. Firstly, since many of our members are keen to share with others their professional skills and experience as well as their hobbies, we aim to benefit local communities through organised volunteer projects. Secondly, we aim to bring together members of all the international communities in the Oeste region from which our membership is drawn. We're pleased to welcome you to our new project, Let's Cook. This is a light-hearted cookery series with a difference. Each week on Thursday evening at 7 p.m, a different home chef will share with you their love of cooking by showing you how to make typical dishes from their home country. We're going to introduce you to home chefs from several different countries living here in the Oeste region. They'll present dishes typical of Chinese, Dutch, French, Portuguese and Russian cuisine, for example, but we have many more national cuisines to share with you. Every Tuesday, we'll advertise to let you know which cuisine will be presented the following Thursday. If you enjoy watching the Let's Cook presentations, you might consider making a donation to support one or more of our many projects, which include helping the day centres for the elderly and helping the homeless and disadvantaged communities in the Oeste region. Here are our bank details, and the name on the account is Oeste International Community Volunteers, and please put Let's Cook in the reference. If you'd be interested in making today's dishes, then here's the list of the ingredients you'd need, together with the method you should follow. So, sit back and enjoy. And now, let's cook.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Let's Cook, an initiative from West International Partners of the Silver Coast in Portugal. My name is Moni de Alwis and I am originally from the beautiful tropical island of Sri Lanka. My husband John and I planned our retirement. We moved here to this beautiful Silver Coast region in September 2018. Today, I would like to introduce you to Sri Lankan cuisine. Sri Lanka is a multicultural, multi-ethnic society with a majority population of Sinhala Buddhists. Some Buddhists do not eat meat. So today, I'm going to cook you a chicken dish with Dhal, which is a staple of Sri Lankan food, with rice and a tomato salad. Just to let you know, I've already plugged on the rice. There's 3 cups of rice to 4 cups of water in this little rice cooker. And then I'm going to make you a chicken curry. This is the chicken. I have already cut it in little strips, marinated it with lemongrass, garlic, little vinegar and salt. I left it overnight in the refrigerator, and so it's ready to go. So what I do is I'll heat the pan with olive oil or coconut oil. I'll fry this chicken. Then I will pop in the onions, as you can see. 1 big onion, 1 large tomato. That's the size of the tomato. And that was the size of the onion. Once that is frying, I will pop in some ginger. As you can see, I have chopped it and crushed it. There are a few pods of cardamom and cinnamon, strips of cinnamon. There's a little chili powder, but the chili powder you put according to how strong you can handle it. Then I have curry powder here. This curry powder comes from Sri Lanka. You cannot buy it here, but you can buy the curry powders from the Indian store in Kalash. They have different types of curry powder. This one is the hot madras, which I like, but maybe you can't handle the heat of that, so you can buy the milder one. The curry powder comes in 2 forms, roasted or natural. I like to mix the roasted with the natural. So I have here a mixture of roasted and natural curry powder, as you can see. Then I have here some cumin and some green coriander seeds for garnishing at the end. Okay, so let's cook now. Into the pan, and I like to use this wok type pan, I put in a couple of tablespoons of olive oil or coconut oil. I don't measure it, but I can tell you that it's a couple of tablespoons. I let the oil heat for a little while, and I like to use chicken thighs. The thighs, I think, have more flavor, and I think that they are easier to cook. They are a little bit softer. You could use chicken fillet. I have here 800 grams of chicken that I have sliced and marinated, as I said before. So when the oil is warm, I will throw this into the oil and let it brown, golden brown. It's with experience, you know what color it should be. But if when it's turning golden brown, you know it's getting ready now for the curry. So the oil has now heated, and I'm going to pop in the chicken. You hear this very satisfying sound when it goes in. What I forgot to mention is that the bone from the thigh, this one, I leave it in when I cook because it seems to add flavor to the curry. I take it out later in case I don't like to eat the bones, but at this point I leave them in and I toss it all in. It's ready. It's now frying. It has to fry till it's golden brown. Takes a few minutes. So let me tell you about curry. Curry is a British word, C-U-R-R-Y. But what is interesting to know is that the Portuguese in 1505 arrived in Asia, in India, and in 1498 in India, in 1505 in Sri Lanka, and they discovered this very light, highly spiced food that people, you can make chicken curry, prawn curry, fish curry, you can make curry with everything. So they discovered this, and at that time it was called curry, K-A-R-I, and not C-U-R-R-Y. It was later the British who anglicized it, calling it C-U-R-R-Y curry, as we now know it. And as we know, it's now a staple in the British culture. So we Sri Lankans eat a lot of chicken because some Sri Lankan Buddhist Sinhalese do not eat meat. The cow is supposed to be a sacred animal in Sri Lanka, and people don't eat meat. But they eat chicken. Fish is eaten a lot in the tropical islands, as you know. So let me just turn this over a bit now to give it a chance to brown on the other side. So let me see. I think you have to let it cook for, let it fry for 5 or even a bit more, 10 minutes maybe. So it has to fry. So the chicken has now, the marinated chicken has now been cooking for about 10 minutes, frying actually. And it's beginning to get golden brown, as you can see. So I'm now ready to start throwing in the rest of the ingredients. So at this point I will add the chopped onions. You can see here I said 1 large onion. I'll throw it in and keep turning it, keep stirring, okay. I think that for this 800 grams the whole onion may be a bit too much, so a little bit more and then I stop at this point. Maybe I'll add it later on. The onions, then I put in the cinnamon and cardamoms, the crushed cardamoms. So as you can see, the cardamoms are slightly split. I throw that in. Next I put in, let me just see, the cumin. Here's the cumin, it goes in. There's no sequence really, you can throw in everything and keep turning it so that it keeps frying a bit more. When we come to the chili powder, as I said, be careful, the depends how strong people can eat it or not. I will throw in 1 spoon because I'm not going to put more. The curry powder also has spices and strength. So this curry powder is the mixed one, I said, of the Sri Lankan curry powder. Every family in Sri Lanka has their own secret recipe when making curry powder. Some make it at home, which they use a mix of coriander, cloves, cardamoms, chilies, spices, garlic. In the curry powder, they toast it all and they grind it. Others just buy it from the supermarket. So this is homemade curry powder from Sri Lanka. All the years I lived in Europe, I brought my curry powder from Sri Lanka. So now I toss into, I think 3 spoons for now, 3 teaspoons for now, and then turn it over. Smells delicious already. If you're making a fish curry, we don't put curry powder into a fish curry. We only put chilies. So, now I will throw in the tomatoes, the chopped tomatoes. That gives it a color, that gives it the acidity that it needs. And then you stir it. At this point, I will check if there is enough salt because I've thrown in a lot of raw ingredients. So I'm going to check if there's enough salt. No. So I put in a teaspoon more. When marinating, there had been salt in the chicken, the chopped chicken. So I will throw in 2 tiny teaspoons, small ones, of salt. That should be enough. It's beginning to look good. It's beginning to look like a curry. It's beginning to set to fry. I'm beginning now to add 2 teaspoons full of chopped ginger. And stir it in well. Turn it over and let it cook. I think I've put in everything here. So now it just has to fry down a bit and cook a bit. What I forgot to tell you is that when the chicken was fried, it produced a lot of juice, as you can see. I drained it out into this little bowl, into this little container. I'm going to put it back in. The reason being that all the flavors, the spices are in this, and it will help the chicken to cook down. So I threw it in and turned it over. Smells so good. I will add another teaspoon of curry powder. And now I turn it over again. You need a very, very hot fire to quickly cook this, but this fire is not hot enough, but it should be very hot. A lot of heat. But it's getting nice and thick, as you can see. You see? All the spices, all the cooking in that now. I'm going to taste it just to see that I have enough of everything in it. This has been a difficult exercise for me because I normally just throw things in. I don't measure, it's from experience from cooking. But now to help people understand, I have to say 1 spoon, 2 spoons, 3 spoons. So, right. We now come to the last phase of it. This is how I make it. This also, as I said before, the different types of curry powder, but in Sri Lanka, there's also different ways to make the curry. This is my Moni curry, okay? This is my way. But somebody else would cook the chicken in the coconut milk. So I'm using here a can of coconut milk. I'm only going to use half the can. You can buy this at the Continent or at the Intermarché. It's available in most of the shopping. I look for the can that says Sri Lanka. There are lots of cans that have the Thai coconut milk. For me, those are too sweet. This one is more natural, more like the Sri Lankan. You can also grate a coconut, buy a coconut, grate it, that's a lot of work. This is the easiest way. So now this is ready for the coconut milk. I'm going to put half the can in and stir it. You see? Let it simmer on a lower fire now for 5 minutes. My curry is now bubbling happily. I just use my fingers and I will throw in, this is green coriander that I picked from my own trees. I've crushed them very slightly. I just garnish it with that. In Sri Lanka we don't use, or at least my family doesn't use yogurt to garnish. But I found that I like to put a bit of yogurt into this. So I'll just show you a tablespoon of yogurt. You just, maybe even 2. And it's ready to roll. We just turn it gently, move it gently. Not necessary to stir a lot because the yogurt you just push it in. And this curry is now ready to be eaten. Here it goes, here it looks. So here's the rice that's cooked now. In this little rice cooker, that's enough for 4 people. There's 3 cups of rice with 4 cups of water, and I've used Basmati rice. It is a long grain rice. It's quick to cook and smells delicious. There's a real fantastic odor to that rice. So I've taken the plug off. I've knocked off the electricity. I will leave it closed to stay warm, but not that it overcooks. So now I'm going to prepare my next dish. This is called Dhal, D-H-A-L in Sri Lanka, but this is really a lentil. It is, they call it the orange lentil, the yellow lentil. You can buy this in every supermarket here. And in Sri Lanka, in times gone by when people were really poor, they didn't have money to buy meat or chicken or fish, this was a staple. The reason being, this is very high in proteins. So every family ate this. You eat it with bread, you eat it with rice, you eat it with roti, you eat it with everything. So I'm going to now put in 1 cup of lentils. That should be enough for 4 people, I think, or let's make 1 1/2. Okay. Right. And 2 cups of water. 1, 2. A teaspoon of salt. I'm using this little tiny teaspoon, but if you use the bigger spoon, it's 1. If it's the smaller spoon, it's 2. So 2 of water, stir it in, and it has to cook now. You can add a bit more water if it's not cooked enough. So be aware of that, have some water ready. Some people cook this in coconut milk, but I'm cooking it in water, and I put in the coconut milk at the end. This dal is cooking now in this water. Please make sure that it does not overcook. The dal has to stay grainy. If it overcooks, it becomes like a big porridge, and then it's not nice to look at, not nice to eat. So leave it to cook until it will change color. It turns into yellow. So this is now ready. The water has gone down. The lentils have swollen a bit, and it's ready. The consistency is right. It will cook a bit more later when I put the coconut milk in. So what I do is I toss it out into another container. Some people in Sri Lanka would leave it in that and throw in the other ingredients. I prefer to heat the oil to fry the onions and the mustard and the garlic, and then put the dal back. So this has to heat now. The oil has to heat. I have here the chopped onions already. I have here the chopped tomatoes. I have also the chopped garlic and some mustard seeds. So when the oil is heated, I will throw in these mustard seeds and the garlic and let it fry for 1 minute, and then throw in the onions and the tomatoes, and then last of all I'll put in the dal. So here is maybe 2 teaspoons of mustard seed, which I allow to fry down with the oil, and then I throw in the garlic, chopped garlic, a heaped teaspoon. I put in the curcuma, which is already powdered. You can buy these in the stores here. You can buy the packeted ones. It gives it a nice color. So, good teaspoon of it, and then a dash of salt. And I stir it, let it fry. You hear that very satisfying sound of letting it fry for 1 minute. Okay, and then I'm ready now to add in my chopped tomatoes, my chopped onions, sorry. The onions have to get a bit golden. You don't see the golden because of the yellow of the curcuma, but yeah, they're frying now. If necessary, add a tiny bit more of oil. Normally in Sri Lanka we cook with coconut oil, but here it's hard to get the real pure coconut oil, so I use olive oil. So I'm just going to taste it to see if there's enough salt. Maybe a tiny dash more of the oil. So that it fries. I have here a little chili powder that I'm going to add. A tiny half a tiny spoon of it, okay? Just to give it a bit of kick, a bit of the kick. But you don't have to. You don't have to put any chili at all. In Sri Lanka they call it a Dhal curry or a Dhal vegetable. Either way, it is a vegetarian dish. People who don't eat meats eat this all the time. So this is now fried to the right consistency, the right color, and I can throw in the tomatoes. Here are the chopped tomatoes, they go in. It gives, the reason I put these tomatoes are, it gives it a nice savory taste. Some people don't put any tomatoes, but I do. And there is one thing I did forgot to tell you also with the chicken curry and the dal, we use a leaf that's called the curry leaf in Sri Lanka. When you put that curry leaf into this frying ingredient, there is a smell that is amazing. But I can't find that here. You can't buy it here. I can't grow it. I can't find it. So I'm doing it without. But in Sri Lanka, you would never cook without it. So it has to fry a bit more. Not ready yet. The tomatoes have to cook down. So this is the consistency you want when you fry the onions, the tomato, the cumin, the curcuma. It's ready now. So what I'm doing is I'm going to put back this into the pan. Turn it over. Mix it well. At this point you can check also for if there's enough salt. I'm going to just check if there's enough salt in this. Lentil was perfect. Right. Now, the final bit of it is the coconut milk. So, there's half a can here. Left over from the chicken curry. I'm going to put it in. and let the dal cook in it. Reduce the fire and let it simmer for, I would say 5 minutes, but I'm not sure that it will be ready in 5 minutes because the dal is still quite grainy. So, but I'll know when it's ready and I'll tell you then. So it should be 5 to 10 minutes. So this is now ready. It has been bubbling away for about 5 minutes. It's almost ready. You can see the color and the consistency. From orange it turned to yellow, but that's also because of the curcuma in it. And it's nice and thick. It's still grainy. The tomato, so the savory tomatoes are in there. And I'm going to garnish it a bit with a few of these drops of green coriander that I had ground up. It has simmered for 10 minutes, I think, and it's ready to go now. So I'm going to knock off the fire, and otherwise it will overcook. A little secret is to throw in a tiny dash of cold water to prevent it from overcooking. You see, it stops bubbling when you throw in and put in some cold water. Otherwise it overcooks and gets like a big porridge. So that's ready now. So friends, thank you very much for joining me in this edition of Let's Cook. Let's now eat.